Welcome to Mostly Mets. I'm Jimmy Mack, and today we're going to be doing our Mets Daily Rundown, which is where I go over and give my opinion on the biggest stories facing the Mets today. And if you're new here, please subscribe, comment, like, do all that stuff. And with that, we're going to get right into this. The Mets obviously have won their sixth straight game, beating the Phillies last night 5-1. And they're rolling right now. They're 17-7. They're already 10 games over 500, just 24 games into the season, which is huge. They've already built a 4-game lead over the Phillies, and while it's still early and we're not scoreboard watching quite yet, it's important to get these wins against a division rival, against a team that you're going to be going head-to-head with for the division all summer long. So really good stuff here. They're pitching well. They're hitting well. Everything seems to be going well. You see even last night, defensively, Tyrone Taylor making that great play in center field to double up Schwarber at first base. Obviously a bad play by Schwarber there, but you have to give the credit to Tyrone Taylor. Not everyone's even thinking of doing that in that situation or having the wherewithal to even notice that he's that far off of first base and to throw him out. So they're just hitting on all cylinders right now. They're dominating the Phillies. I think it has a little bit to do with the Phillies being not playing their best baseball right now. Not everyone in that lineup is hitting. Pretty much nobody in that lineup is hitting for any power or anything right now. They just haven't looked good. Their bullpen's been bad. They've gotten decent starting pitching in the first game out of Nola. Last night, Sanchez got hurt and had to leave the game early after only 2 innings. But he wasn't pitching all that well. They would have gotten to him if he didn't get hurt anyway. He threw 56 pitches, I believe, in just 2 innings. So they were going to get to him no matter what last night. And they're doing a really good job at wearing out these pitchers. They've been doing it all year, working long counts, getting starters out early in the game. And I think that's their game plan. And right now it's really working for them. So overall, I'm really happy with how the team is performing. They're playing, like I said, they're just hitting on all cylinders right now, and that's even without some of their big bats really performing, like Soto. All right, we talked about pitching, and obviously it's been really good, and one guy who's been a surprise is Griffin Canning. Is this the new Griffin Canning? Did we see the Mets maybe fix him in their pitching lab? Canning is always a guy who was a big-time prospect, and I believe he was a first-round pick. He was a guy who had a lot of talent, and he was languishing away there with the Angels, who do not develop pitchers, who don't develop players in general. They're just been a bad organization at doing that over the years. And apparently when the Mets signed him, there was a lot of teams looking at Griffin Canning. He was a guy that they thought they could fix, and it seems like maybe that's happened. Now, it's only a 5-game sample size. We don't know for sure yet that this is him. He might revert back to what he was before, but you can see the results so far, and you can see why it's happening. He's used his slider more than ever this year. He's throwing it more than his fastball. He's about 37% on his slider. Compared to last year, he was 24%. If you look at his stats last year, he was one of maybe the worst pitcher in baseball. He had a 5.19 ERA, and he gave up 31 home runs. He just had a bad year overall. This year, he's only given up 2 home runs. He's got a 3.12 ERA in 5 starts. I mean, he's just looked really good. Now, I don't necessarily trust him yet, and even in the postgame last night, he did say, he was asked if he can go longer in the game, and he said, listen, the last time Mendoza put me out there in the 6th inning, I didn't do well, so I need to work hard and earn Mendoza's trust to go deeper into games. And right now, listen, I'm happy with him going 5 innings, only giving up 1 run. It was a great start, and he's been a pleasant surprise this year. Do I think he's now turned into an ace? No, I don't. But do you have a really solid rotation piece that you didn't think you had before the season started? Yeah, I think you do. I think even if he's a 4th or 5th starter, I don't even think we thought he was that. I was not happy with the signing Griffin Canning, and most Mets fans weren't. I wasn't happy they were giving him an opportunity to start. He's only in there because they had so many injuries before the season in spring training. So, listen, he's doing everything to prove us wrong. He's pitching well, and I hope it continues. And I think maybe it will. He's showing something in his pitch mix, and he's a fighter. He goes in there and he goes after hitters, and he's looked good so far. Now, obviously, Griffin Canning isn't the only pitcher on the Mets who's performing well this year. You have Kodai Senga, who still has an ERA under 1. You have Tyler McGill, who's one of the leaders in ERA this season. And their bullpen has just been absolutely unbelievable. And really, right now, the Mets have the number 1 pitching staff in Major League Baseball. And think about that for a second. Before the season started, everyone was saying the Mets were going to be terrible because their pitching was bad and they weren't going to be able to pitch enough. And yeah, their offense is good, but their pitching is going to fail them and make them weak. Their pitching has been their strongest point. There's been times this year where the Mets have not hit, but their pitching has always kept them in the game. Their bullpen especially, has been completely lights out. The starting pitching, I don't think anyone in the starting staff has an ERA less than 3.5. They're all pitching extremely well. And it's just a complete opposite of what we thought was going to happen going into this season. Listen, I have a lot of faith in David Stearns and Jeremy Hefner and the Mets pitching staff, but even I did not expect this start to the season. We're 24 games in now. That's not a huge sample size, but we're getting to the point where we can't say, oh, it's early anymore. It's still April, but it's getting close to May. So what you are now is an indication of what you may be going forward. 5 starts is a good sample size. You make 25 to 30 in a year, so you're basically a 5th or 6th way through your starts, and if you're performing this well, I don't see why it won't continue. And you're doing it against good teams now, right? The Cardinals came into the Mets series where the Mets swept them with one of the best offenses in baseball. And people wanted to sweep that under the rug and say, well, they're not that good, and the Mets got lucky and got them at the right time. But now you're facing the Phillies. And while the Phillies haven't hit well in this series, up until the series, they've been hitting well. They've been fine. I think they were 5th in the league in OPS. So to say that, this pitching staff is doing it against nobodies isn't really a thing anymore. I honestly did not expect Canning and McGill to pitch this well against the Phillies, and I've been pleasantly surprised. So everybody is contributing, whether it's Senga, Canning, McGill, Clay Holmes. The entire bullpen is just on point. Peterson's been a little bit disappointing lately, but he's still pitched well enough. He hasn't been bad. He's been walking too many guys. Kranick has been great out of the bullpen. Brazoban, this guy we didn't even want on the team. He was the last roster addition basically out of spring training, and he's been great. Minter is what you expect him to be, a nice setup reliever. Stanek has been even better, I think, than I thought he would be. Diaz has definitely been disappointing, but he still has the stuff. I think he'll be fine. Like I said in my last video, we just have to lower expectations for him a little bit. I don't think he's going to be the dominant Diaz ever again, but he's still capable of being a really good closer. So I'm liking where the Mets pitching staff is right now, and we're not even healthy. We're still getting Montas back and Manaea back. We have Sproat and McLean waiting in the wings, almost ready to come up at this point. So the future is bright with the Mets pitching staff. And I don't even know where you're fitting these guys in. Who comes out of the rotation when Manaea and Montas comes back? I know you probably go to a 6-man rotation, but you have 2 guys coming back. So someone's coming out of this rotation. We just hope no injuries and there's just decisions to make. But right now, I'm really confident in this pitching staff. Every day, there's nobody that I think we're going to lose with them on the mound. I really don't. And there's nobody except for maybe Danny Young coming in out of the bullpen and Buto in some ways where I'm nervous. I'm not nervous about any of these guys. So I don't know what's going to break. It's not going to be this good all year. They're not going to be leading the league in ERA by almost half a run for the entire year. But right now, let's just enjoy it. Let's enjoy not being disappointed by any of our pitchers. All right, the pitching staff isn't the only part of the team that's rolling right now. The offense is also doing their part. They're becoming more consistent. Early in the year, my biggest gripe with the offense was Pete Alonso was carrying it, and there was big games by certain guys, but there was no consistency. There was no stringing hits together. There was just no cohesion with the offense. There was one guy doing it every day, and they were scoring just enough runs to win. But there was no, I don't know, it didn't feel like there was any rallies starting and all that. The Mets have come a long way in that. I didn't look at the actual numbers of how much better statistically they got, but just watching them every day, you can see the offense is starting to click. Lindor is obviously on fire right now. He had another 3 hits last night. And Vientos is starting to get hot. Pete has never stopped getting hot. He's cooled off a little bit, but he's still better than his career averages right now. Soto has not really kicked it into gear yet. He's hitting at 103 miles per hour off the bat, but right into the second baseman's glove. So he's ready to go. He's ready to break out, and I think that will happen in the next few games. I think we're going to see a big game out of him, and he's just going to be off to the races. The bottom of the order is really starting to hit. You look at guys like Acuna and Taylor and Beatty, even when he's in there, hasn't been so bad lately. Even Ozakar got a couple hits last night. So, Torrens, look at Torrens, a 2 RBI double. Even after he's been cooling off for the last few games, he came through when it mattered last night and when Mendoza showed trust in him by not going to Nimmo in that situation. If the bottom of the order is going to continue to hit the way they are, then the Mets are going to be great offensively. And remember, we also have Alvarez coming back. We have McNeil coming back. There's more pieces coming. So I'm really impressed by this offense right now. I think the sky's the limit with them. I think they're going to continue getting better. And honestly, once Soto starts hitting, and if we can get a good platoon basically with Alvarez and Torrens, and McNeil comes in and can play a bunch of different positions, and I still think you need to have Acuna in there because he is a spark plug, but really this offense is clicking right now, and without Soto being Soto. So I'm really, really happy with the way the offense is playing. All right, the last big story that I'm really going to cover here today is who goes down when McNeil comes back. We all know that when Alvarez is back, Senger's going to be going down. There's no question about that. It's going to be Alvarez and Torrens as your catchers. And they're probably going to split time a little bit. It seems like Torrens has played his way onto the team, or into some at-bats and into some starts. Honestly, Alvarez never has had the success that Torrens has had so far this year. So I don't think you can just take him out and never play him and just have him as a backup catcher. He's going to play a couple days a week at least. So Alvarez coming back, we know the move is Senger going down. But with McNeil coming back, it gets a little more interesting. You can say Acuna, you can say Beatty, you could say Ozakar. We all assumed it would just be Ozakar going down when McNeil comes back. But he's got a couple hits in the last couple days. And he's been a little bit of a spark plug. And he's got some speed and some defense. And really, besides Taylor, is the only player on this team who is capable of playing center field. I know Nimmo has played center field in the past. Obviously, he was our starting center fielder. But he's got that injured foot. He lost some speed. He lost some range. So having him be a center fielder, if it's in case of emergency, I could see it. But you lose a lot defensively if you need to use Nimmo in center field. Now, I know they've tried McNeil in center field in the minors. I don't see him as a center fielder. Sure, I think Jeff McNeil's a baseball player, and he'll be fine no matter where you put him defensively. But I think you definitely lose. It would be like Nimmo in center field. You just lose something there. You lose some ability, some speed, some range in center, and that'll hurt you defensively. So sending Ozakar down, I don't know that you can do that because you need a guy who can play center field. At this point, Marte is just not a fielder. So yes, he's a backup outfielder, but he just DHs. So really your only backup outfielder, if you send Ozakar down, your only real outfielder would be Winker. I know McNeil can play out there as well as in the infield, but I don't know how you get rid of that type of versatility and that ability to play center at a high level. But he's probably still, to me, the most likely. The second most likely would be Beatty. He hasn't hit as well. He's been up and down. It's been strange with Beatty. He obviously started off the season terribly. Everyone, including myself, turned against him. And then all of a sudden he started turning it on, getting some extra base hits, and we all kind of bought in again. And then he went cold again. So I just don't think Beatty's a major league player. I think, in my opinion, he should be the one to go down. But it's hard to send a guy like Beatty down because if you send him down again, you're basically giving up on him. You're saying you're not a major league player. He's a AAA player, a great AAA player, and a bad, major league player. So I don't know that they're ready to do that to him just yet, but I don't see him getting many at-bats once McNeil's back because Acuna needs to play every day at this point, or as close to every day as possible. I'm becoming an Acuna believer. I was not early in the season and before the season started, but Listen, he adds something to this team that they just don't have, which is speed, defense, the ability to get on a pitcher's nerves on the base paths, to make a play happen. And he just needs to play. And no matter what anyone says, the Mets need him right now. Like I said, he adds so much that they don't have. That speed, that athleticism. They don't have a lot of that. I mean, you look around, yes, Lindor has some speed and he's athletic. Who else really gives you that? Nimmo doesn't really give you that anymore. He's kind of an average runner at this point. He doesn't have the range. He doesn't have the speed. He's just an average runner. Taylor, he's a good runner. He has some speed. But Alonso doesn't give you much speed. Soto doesn't give you much speed. Vientos certainly doesn't give you any speed. So they need Acuna in there. And I think he's going to be up. And I think it would be hard for them to kind of find playing time for him every day if their plan is to just stick McNeil back at second base. But if you have McNeil kind of spelling, Nimmo out in left field, maybe Nimmo DHs a day or two here and there, and then you kind of just move guys around, they'll all get at bats. But I think Acuna needs to be in there. And I wouldn't have said that a couple weeks ago even. But he has added so much. He's been a spark plug to this team. So overall, I don't really know that there's a great decision in all this. I personally think it's probably going to be Beatty that goes down when McNeil comes up, just because he's the more natural replacement for someone like Beatty than he is someone like Acuna or Azócar. So I really think it will be Beatty, but it could also be Azócar just as easily. I just think at this point, Acuna is not going to be the guy they send down. They just can't. He's proven himself so far. All right, and those are the big stories regarding the Mets today and my opinions on them. If you're still here and you like this type of content, I'm going to try to put one of these out every single day. Obviously, it won't be every day. We all have lives. We all have things that we do outside of this. So I'm going to try. But if you like this, please subscribe, comment what your thoughts are on what I just said, and give me a like. And until next time, let's go Mets.